Hello, guys. You're tuning in to Indigenous Coffee Talks.
Hey there, everybody.
Okay, so this is a space for live conversations with interesting people all over the world. And what do they have in common? Their passion for Jesus, stories, and digital ideas. And you know what? So there are people tuning in. You know what time is it? It's time to tag your friends.
Yeah.
Because here in Coffee Talks, there's always a great story, right? So come on, tag your friends. So I'm Jonah. I'm from the Philippines. So needless to say, I love coffee. And I love seeing different people coming together for a common mission towards a cause greater than themselves. So hosting with me is one of the co-founders of Indigitus, who lives in Singapore, Simon.
Hey there, everybody. Well, in each episode of Coffee Talks, you get a glimpse into how God is at work in communities around the world. It's always thrilling to see the innovation and the creative ways in bringing the gospel to where it needs to go. And we have these conversations so that you can grab a story or catch a story, grab an idea, and then go do something with others. We're so
Yep.
glad you chose to join us today.
Yeah, so I'm excited. So Simon, last episode, right? We talked to
Yeah.
Ace from Manila. And we got to hear stories about the legends of Zelda or using Facebook to share the gospel and even reaching out to gamers for discipleship.
Yeah.
So this time, you know what? We're going to hear about boba or bubble
Boba?
tea as we call it here in
Bubble
Asia.
tea, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. And well, boba's got a role in helping fulfill the Great Commission. So we're
Oh.
going to hear that story from our guest today. So can you tell us more about him?
Sure. Our guest secret talent is out eating his friends in an all-you-can-eat sushi places and then regretting it later. He's a senior at University of Texas at Austin and has been involved with Indigenous for 3 years. Well, the pandemic has got him started on forming good habits, daily runs, bikes, rides, swims, and discovering how he can find the most joy, in the mountains, trees, water. So let's welcome Phoenix. Hey.
Woo!
Good to see you, Simon.
Wait.
Welcome,
right.
Phoenix.
All right. So before we jump into our very exciting conversation today, I would like to play a quick icebreaker. So it's for us to get to know Phoenix more. So Phoenix, I'll give you 2 items to pick. So you're gonna get your choice as fast as you can. Then these are just random things. These are just random questions. Yeah. So just trust your gut. Are you ready?
I think so.
All right. Item number 1: donuts or cupcakes?
Donuts.
Books or movies?
Books.
Owls or eagles?
Owls. But I'm American. I feel like I should choose eagle.
What did you choose?
Owls.
Owls. Okay.
Oh,
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Marvel fans out there, DC fans out there. And lastly, coffee or tea?
I have my coffee right here with me.
All right.
all right, you're in the right place. Come on.
Come on. It's just mug, but yeah,
And you are at a
agree
coffee
with you.
shop, aren't you, Phoenix?
I am. And I'm right outside.
What a beautiful day. Thank you. Thanks for waking up so early to join us all the way from Austin, Texas. Well, why don't you
Yeah.
begin by sharing your story of how and why you got involved with serving with Indigenous?
Yeah. So I first heard about Indigenous as a freshman at UT. My friends were helping host it. I didn't join, but then I saw that they were hosting it again my sophomore year. I didn't think I had the skills needed to participate, but they encouraged me to join in. and there I saw not just God grow my skill sets in coding, but also grow my vision for how there's such a big need for technologists to get involved with the mission. The next year, I joined in as a co-leader and was leading alongside 7 other students to help host hashtag 2020. It was virtual, but got to see how God works in crazy ways in that as well.
Wow. So you're referring to this hashtag event, right? Tell us a little bit more about what goes on in this hashtag. And you mentioned a little bit about coding. I know lots of folks on this listening to this are like, yeah, they saw the shirt and they may have heard a little bit about hack, but they're like, you mean Christians can hack? Can you tell us what happens at these events?
Yeah, so hashtag, we just use that to refer to the yearly hackathon that we host, in which people from all different backgrounds come together and use their skills that God gave them, the gifts and talents, to build something for the kingdom. Last year, we had about 100 people come together, and
Wow.
they built apps ranging from like a Hebrew Bible translator, where a Hebrew linguist grad student worked alongside a machine learning person that's interning at Google to create this Bible app that translates the Hebrew Bible. And then we had so many other projects along those lines that just allow us to use our skills to help farther our understanding of God and farther his kingdom here on earth.
Wow.
Yeah.
So these are projects that actually have some kind of a missional goal or missional impact, right?
Absolutely. I think a big problem that we see as technologists is, wow, like I'm adding a lot of value to the world, to the treasures of the world, but what about the kingdom? What about treasures in heaven?
Mhm.
And this is trying to reconcile, like, and I have these talents. How does God want me to use them?
Mhm.
There's so much need. How could I go there? And finding where
Wow.
to intersect.
Wow. Love it. Love it. You know, as you were planning for hashtag, right, last year, especially because it was virtual, you know, tell us some of the fun stories that came out of there. You know, what happened and how did God see you through?
Yeah.
And I think as students, a lot of the reason why we all said yes to helping co-lead hashtag was because we were very lonely. We were stuck inside, uh, and
Interesting.
it offered a way for us to like get connected every week. And I think it was also really cool how we were originally just a group of students from Austin, and then when we decided to go virtual, we were like, why can't we also bring in people from Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, the two other big
Mm-hmm.
cities? They were like
Wow.
3 hours away, but online we're just like real time. We don't need to have geography constraining what God can
Mm.
do because of the fact that it's virtual. So we expanded and went from one university to over 7 universities, and
Wow.
that also brought in the opportunity to like invite others that we would normally not have as part of the in-person hack. This
Mm.
also meant bringing in mentors from like
Mhm.
California, from um, Arizona, and allowing our participants to gain a vision not just of what's happening here in Austin, but
Mhm.
how God is using technology to further his kingdom across the US and through global hashtag, how God is using that to further
Wow.
his kingdom around the world.
That's
So,
love. What
yeah.
lovely. That's really kind of faith
Yeah.
stretching, right? Tell us
Beautiful.
something about boba and
Yeah.
money and
I'm
blessing
waiting for
other
this.
nations.
I know this is what people are waiting for.
We want to hear about that.
when I started participating in hashtag, what I knew about it was like, man, they always have this fundraiser in which I see people from hashtag Hack Texas selling boba on the main speedway, which is the walking pedestrian path that everyone at UT goes along. So we always see them selling boba there, and I'm like, that's so cool. And as I got to know the story, it was basically, hey, as students, we kind of do things differently because we don't know what the right way to do things is. So we were like, we need to fundraise money for hashtag, and this was 4 or 5 years ago when Hack Texas was first starting, and like we saw college students are really poor, like we don't really have money to give, like we're getting money
Mm-hmm.
from others, from parents, but
Yeah,
college students also love boba, and if there is one thing that they're willing to spend money on, it's a cup of boba.
that's
So
lovely.
we started selling boba, and it became a tradition. And I don't know how the finances worked out, but I at least know that it bonded the team together and it allowed
Mm.
us to all kind of standing in the 100-degree Fahrenheit, I don't know, 40 something degrees Celsius, Texas heat. We
Wow,
like also grew together as a team.
that's awesome. Yeah, I've been involved with Indigenous hashtag for quite a number of years now,
Mhm.
and I've seen it grow in leaps and bounds. And by the way, this year we're in more than 60 cities around the world. So some of you who are
Mm.
watching this, please, you got to be involved in one of these events because it will broaden your vision. It gives you a chance to use your gifts, your talents, and your social networks to play a huge
Mm.
difference for God. So, but when
Yeah.
I hear stories like what Phoenix just shared with us, it just kind of gets me excited that anybody can play a part, right? And even students that are just kind of figuring out how to raise money. I think Phoenix didn't get a chance to share that last part, but we in our prep he has told us that, and we've heard how they raised a whole bunch of money this last hack in 2020, and
Mhm.
decided and very convicted that they need to give towards a specific need outside of their city and outside of their country. Phoenix, maybe just briefly tell
Yeah.
us what happened there and who did you give?
Yeah. Where did you go?
Yeah. It, so we set a goal in mind. We were like, let's think big, let's dream big. Like we heard about the saying, like the big preachers that filled like stadiums and like the Christian revivals of the past. Like what set them apart was that they were willing to rent out that stadium and trust God
Mm.
to bring people in, and we had this vision of like asking God for 3 times what we normally raise, and then in the end, God provided 3 times on top of what we had originally asked Him for 3 times of what we normally would raise, and we were like, this really lets us pursue that like vision of expanding to all these campuses, of not letting geographic boundaries separate us, because we were able to pay for streaming licenses and also shipping licenses to like ship swag to people. And then afterwards, we were like, we still have so much left. We could save this for next year, but we like felt really convicted seeing like God move here to be able to support others as well.
Wow.
And what was a big part of that was like we were reflecting at that time on Acts
Mm.
2, and
Mm,
just seeing how the believers had all things in common. What separates us from other believers, like
Yeah.
the greatest bonding link is Christ. first and foremost. And through that, like even if someone is in Mozambique, even if someone is in Ethiopia, we
Mm.
can like we felt like when we saw this need, there was an opportunity for us to
Mm.
actually act out what we see modeled before us in the apostles. And it was so great. We got
That's
to hear
awesome.
stories of
Yeah.
their
It's
hack
really
as well.
inspiring.
Uh,
Yeah.
Praise God. Yeah.
Yeah. So even if during the hack, you were able to have that kind of influence and outcome, tell us about the after hack itself. So what were the things that you have seen God do with the community that you've gathered? How was it? How did the existing or the resulting community serve the church or the body of Christ in Texas?
yeah, I'd say a big part, maybe the biggest part that I've seen, the biggest fruit has been building up that community. And one example is we had invited these mentors in to
Mhm.
give give talks and also walk alongside the teams. And a couple of hashtag participants actually reached out to those mentors afterwards, and like they've started being like actually mentored day to day. As one of them is first starting work, and the mentor has already been uh, working tent building for many years, and being able to see these relationships form, uh, I think, is what carries hashtag forward beyond just a single event. And what I've also seen is this start questions of like, how could we get students mobilized for missions? They're in this major where it's pushing them towards secular work. It's pushing them towards like making a lot of money, and that's a good thing. But maybe they feel like that's not all there is. And
Mm.
through that, like we've vision casted and like this pipeline to get students excited about global missions, and
Yeah.
not telling them to uh,
Hmm.
let go of these gifts and talents that God has given them in order to pursue that, but actually use these gifts and talents to pursue that.
Hmm.
I think just really cool way of seeing God work, and not
Hmm.
me. I've been seeing someone else in Texas see that and say, hey, like, I want to do something with that. And they started an internship cohort. They fully funded, paid interns to hire these interns and encourage them to build apps for large missions organizations like Joshua Project. Uh, and these are all students that are part of the intern cohort. And that gets them excited and gets them envisioning, not just during the internship, but also after the internship, of, wow, I have these gifts, I have these talents, and God, here they are. And God has been so gracious in just showing us how He can work in that.
Yeah, hearing you share that, I could really, feel the impact that that activity has really brought into your relationships with others and with the Lord. And I really love how like a simple, opportunity to gather people able to impact, the future in such a way that students are able to, get a say about where they go after college, after uni, and then they get to, be part of something greater that
Mm,
is beyond
mhm.
their degree and and what they have studied. So I really love that. I really love that story, Phoenix. So if there's one lesson you like to share to the other indigenous members or leaders listening in, what would it be?
And I think the greatest lesson is humility. Uh, it is crazy how much is possible when
Mm.
I let go of things. I think coming in, I was actually really filled with pride. I was like,
Mm,
hey, like I'm a business major. I have a management information systems background. So it's at the
mm,
intersection of computer science and business. And I was like, man, I don't know how these people are doing things beforehand. I want to change things. I want to kind of give myself glory to show that I can change things myself. Uh, and and that just took a burden, that took a toll, and like nothing happened. But when I started saying, hey, like I need help, expanding the co-leader group, and inviting people in to help us, like we
Mm.
went from just a group of 4, 5 people to like 10 students across all of Texas, and just
Yeah.
asking them, hey, I can't do
mm,
this, but then asking them, what ideas do y'all have to get this done? That's how we came up with the idea of like asking these local tech uh, private companies that serve churches, uh, and like someone reached out to Subsplash, which like
Mm.
huge shout out to Subsplash. Uh, we like got a check for almost all of what we were asking for at the very start of us asking uh, for money, and I was just like, not me. And even the person who asked for that money, like, it's not because of how good they were at asking it, but it's like
Mm.
God showing us how He provides and how I am not enough.
Yeah.
I can't do things on my own. Uh,
mm,
and yeah, like that just repeated over and over again during the
mm,
actual hashtag when I was like, oh, like I want to do this cool technical like camera thing. It didn't work out, but then when others came in and
Mm.
like took over when my camera wasn't working, like I think I've heard stories of people reaching out to us and being like, wow, I really enjoyed Tim or Jennifer
mm,
sharing and like leading, even though that wasn't part of the plan. So yeah, just like letting go,
mm.
asking others for help, and giving it all up to God has been such a big part of what I've learned.
Wow.
Wow.
Right. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is such I appreciate you, Phoenix, as your heart, your posture. This is something that we often come thinking we've got something to offer, we've got something
Mhm.
to prove, but God always graciously, kind of brings us in and reminds us that yes, you have something that I want to use you, but I want to actually embrace you first. And
Mm.
you said humility as a key thing that is a call for us to be reminded to have that
Mm.
posture. So I so appreciate. I know our listeners would appreciate that as well.
Mm. Yeah. And just a quick thought, like more than the things that we are after when we entered, service, it's really, the presence of the Lord, the intimacy with God that is being uh increased or deepened when we,
Mhm.
what you said, Phoenix, about letting go. It's like always the paradox of this relationship with the Lord, that all the more that you let go and surrender, all the more that you get to
Yeah.
enjoy it, right? Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I love that.
Hey, we have a couple minutes left. I realized that something that you played a part to get started, and that was the right after hashtag. It's called ID Serve or Indigenous Serve, and I'd love to for you to just briefly talk about what is that and why does it matter?
Yes, ID serve is, I can't say that I started it, but I had the privilege of being a witness to how it was started. And what happened was after hashtag, me and another one of the co-leads just like stayed up all night. We were like, man, we feel the fire that was burning during hashtag, and we saw how God worked. We don't want this to end. And so we were just praying, and then like, we were like, what if we take this and not just like do this here in Texas, uh, uh, but like do this around the world, and not just for one weekend, but for the like for long term, like sending students on digital missions, uh, and then we brought this idea to one of our good friends and mentors, and I'll just shout him out, Andrew Fang. He
Shout out to Andrew.
took this and like turned it from this 3 a.m. Drunken idea to this is what we need to do. Found group of 6 interns to work, asked churches, organizations to sponsor these interns, and just started prototyping, started gaining vision for what this
Love
would
it.
look like.
Yeah.
Now they've done work with Joshua Project. They've done work to build like children's books to teach children's about unreached people groups.
Wow.
And I think now they're on their 3rd internship cycle, and we've been having more and more applicants, not just from the U.S. but from around the world, like from the Philippines, even wanting to be a part of this.
Wow.
And if you want to be a part of this, like, and if you're a student right now, the applications are open. You get to work on a project for God's kingdom. We're looking for creatives, and we're looking for, and
Love it. Yeah.
pray about it and see if you want to say yes to applying.
That's great. I think that's just such a wonderful, on ramp. You had a weekend event, a hackathon, and then, the energy from there continues, and then it continues to serve the body of Christ in shaping projects. Some of you on this listening to this may want to go check out idserve.us, and you can learn a little bit more about that. And thank you, Phoenix, for sharing, for participating in the very first ID Serve, being the guinea pigs for that as well, and for many others that have invested to shape that. And that may become something in your city or country, some of you who have indigenous communities as well. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We've come to almost the end of our time. I realized that my co-hosts may just have dropped off because of internet, but I want to thank you, Phoenix, so much. Your life, your story, I praise God for that. But for our guests, as you can see, digital has truly expanded how we think about mission, right? Even the fact that we can design, digital ideas to reach children, or many other things that were mentioned briefly today in our talk. There is something that we all can do, right? So for those of you who might just be getting started, we want to encourage you to check out our more stories and ideas on indigenous.org. And God might be doing something right under your nose, right in front of you. We've just got to take chances and to be part of it. Jonah?
Yeah. So if you grabbed an idea or did something, we'd love to hear your stories too. Tag us in your socials, because here at Indigitus, we're happy about helping you reach your world. So we get excited about the different ways that you do this right where you are. So if you're a student like Phoenix, or if you're a freelancer like me, or you're a part of a missions organization like Simon, So, yeah, we are so glad to hear your stories right where you are. So, as mentioned today, one way you can start to explore these opportunities is to join us during Hack this October. So, to sign up or know more about it, you can visit hack.indigitus.org. Yeah, so thank you so much, Phoenix. I really enjoyed this time with you. Everybody listening, have a great day ahead. You should see you next time.
Stay healthy. God bless.